Welcome to MEL Talk number 2, an order of protection. It really is just literally a piece of paper. Good afternoon, everyone. I have been thinking about doing this one for a couple of days. I'm sure everyone's aware of Hurricane Melissa heading towards Jamaica, and as my beloved is Jamaican, and with immediate family there, we've been very concerned. The house he's building, we know, is not going to withstand the storm. That's fine. We're not so worried about that. We are worried about fathers and brothers and sons and friends. So I'm a little off kilter today, and I am telling you, it's like watching a slow-moving car wreck with the constant Weather Channel and dooms. And I'm like, I cannot listen to this. So it's been an audiobook day, and now curled up in my favorite pajamas with my favorite blanket with the space heater running for the cats to keep them warm overnight, and cup of tea. It just seems like one of those nights where wear the favorite pajamas, drink the hot beverage, do what you can, because tomorrow's going to be brutal. I don't think joy is coming in the morning tomorrow for us. So anyway, back to MEL Talk. Enough about that. Back to MEL Talk. The order of protection. This also is a common misconception, and I too had it. Once you get the order of protection, you're good. You're protected, right? Well, it turns out it's not. It's never simple, right? Nothing is ever as simple as it could be. In my case, I filed for an emergency order of protection, and that gave me 14 days. Now, that judge was very condescending and misogynistic and yelly and scary, but he did me a solid in that he gave me everything I asked for, including, and I didn't know you could ask for this, at least in DuPage County, Illinois. I think this probably varies depending on location. I didn't know you could even ask for custody of your pets. And so I was able to get a piece of paper that said I had 14 days to get Harlow and Piper. And that kind of set into motion that I've got 14 days to acquire housing. And at the time I thought, wow, that seems like I should be able to acquire it a lot sooner. And then you find out this is not an easy process. So that kind of started the clock ticking on that. And then I was kind of in a tizzy about that a little bit. And I had also reached out to various humane societies and other people, can anyone foster these two if I don't get housing in the 14 days? Because I did, after 14 days, have the option to extend it. I did go back again 14 days later and asked for 2 years and was granted 6 months. But it's not a guarantee. The 14 days I definitely had, but beyond that, there's no guarantee they'll say yes. So the process is intimidating. I will say there are unsung heroes who are advocates at the courthouse who walk people through this process. And whatever they're paid, it is not nearly enough. And it's probably nothing. But they were extraordinarily helpful. And the paperwork is kind of daunting. Don't do it alone. Bring someone with you. It's super vulnerable. You're humiliated. It's awful, but it's necessary. So part of my initial order of protection was that his guns were taken away, his beloved guns that he went on and on about. He loves his guns. So I had always heard one of the most dangerous times is if you're caught stashing away so that you can leave. That doesn't apply to my particular situation. There are websites and resources to help people who need an escape plan, and I didn't think to look those up before I started this, so I will make sure to have those resources somewhere. If somebody needs them, let me know. I'll find them. But also right after you leave is a very dangerous time. Now, I wasn't so concerned about that. I was a little concerned about that. I was concerned about people he knows that, friends of mine that he knows of, and he knows who they are and that he does not like. And they were concerned. He's a gun nut. People were concerned. So about 3 days after the order of protection was issued, the sheriff's department goes to, within 3 days, goes to enforce it. It is my understanding that didn't go particularly well, only because when I went to the Glen Ellen Police Department, which was the suburb I was in at the time, they mentioned that they knew my address because something hadn't gone particularly well with that. But here's the kicker. The sheriff's department did not seize his guns. They allowed him to turn them all over to his best friend of 50 years who lives one suburb over to keep. So he had to turn in his FOID card, which in Illinois is the fire owner's identification card, and he was not allowed to keep his guns, but they weren't necessarily put someplace he couldn't get to them. Because I'm pretty sure if he's like, give me a gun, his best friend since third grade is going to be like, sure, yeah, no problem. That was terrifying to me. And I found that out kind of on the down low. I can't really say how, but that was terrifying to me. And I was able to verify that later, that, yeah, those guns did not go to the sheriff's department. They didn't go. They went to his best friend. So another gun nut. So this is not an ideal situation. And it didn't give me any sense of peace until I moved into my apartment and I knew it was far enough away that he wasn't going to bother. And he wouldn't come to that sort of neighborhood anyway. So, yeah, to me, that's terrifying. Like, it was literally just a piece of paper. It did give me the right to have a police escort when I did get my stuff. And the only reason I paid movers and even took what little I had left was, like, I had to get the cats. And that was the most important thing. So the second order of protection, I am not exactly sure what happened. When I look at that order of protection, the first one, all the boxes were checked. Like, yeah, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do it. The second one, only one box was checked that said he had to stay more than 200 feet away from me. But the gun being taken away boxes were not checked. So I don't actually know if they were given back to him 14 days later or 6 months and 14 days later. Again, the judge didn't seem to want to look at my evidence. She just thought he was adorable. And he kept bringing up, like, of course he had this like long laundry list of all the stuff that I talked about in the last one. So I kept trying to keep everything focused on August 2nd and 3rd. And he was like, well, she did this. And the judge is like, when? And he's like, 5 years ago. And she's just like, oh, she's horrible, right? Oh my God. First of all, it wasn't even entirely a true fact. And second of all, even if it was like 5 years ago, and we're talking about something that had happened 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago. So, again, that second piece of paper actually wasn't even going to go to court. I got the first order of protection on August 6th. I signed my apartment lease on the 13th. I took a new job offer on the 14th. I moved into my new apartment on the 17th. So Tuesday the 20th, it was like, yeah, I just don't think I even need to bother. But two people separately said, like, you need to bother because you just need to have your voice heard. Even if nothing comes out of it, if you don't go, you will regret not going because you'll always be like, yeah, I just kind of like let it slide. And then you'll be hard on yourself. And you know what? In hindsight, they were right. They were 100% right. And I'm glad I was in a phase of my life where I was a little more open to listening. I was open to listening to the person who said you need to leave. And I was open to listening to people who were saying, like, no, you should do this. You should do this for yourself, if for no other reason, for your own peace of mind in the future. And I'm glad I did do that. Although it was very painful and awful and terrible too. Not gonna lie, there's no way to sugarcoat it. So yeah, that does happen. So orders of protection, aren't necessarily protective. They can give you rights. If, I didn't have a little kid situation that I had to worry about, or I didn't have minor children to worry about. I just had the cats. So I don't have any information on how all that could potentially go down. I do think they give temporary custody and then they have to work out stuff. And again, I was in that gray area too, where the first judge who gave me the 14 days advised me that I probably should get a lawyer, but then here's the problem. I made too much for legal aid, but I didn't have any extra cash flow to get a lawyer anyway. And then, it's just like, yeah, it we're in that in-between thing. And it's okay. It all worked out in the end, but I just want to make people aware that when you tell someone, oh, just go get an order of protection or a restraining order or anything, and you think like all bases are covered, there could be some surprises, some really big surprises. So, anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. I'll probably do at least one more before the end of the month and call it a day. Again, let's all just say a prayer tonight for the Caribbean, and let's, our country's in turmoil. We're all divided, and it's just a sad state everywhere. So let's just be kind to each other and do the best we can. Till next time.